It was supposed to be just another family dinner. My parents had invited everyone, relatives, friends, even my sister's coworkers. The dining table was filled with laughter, expensive dishes, and that picture-perfect family energy they like to show off. But I could feel it before it even happened, the tension aimed at me. I had been struggling for a while, working 2 jobs to pay rent after losing my full-time position. My parents knew that, but to them it wasn't something to sympathize with. It was something to mock. When I walked into the room, dressed as neatly as I could, my father gave me a quick glance, then went back to talking about my sister's new promotion. Everyone congratulated her, and she gave me that familiar, smug smile. I tried to join the conversation, ask Dad about his work, compliment the food, but before I could finish, he interrupted me. "You know," he said loud enough for everyone to hear, "some people at this table actually earn their place here." The room went silent. My stomach tightened. Mom leaned forward, her tone colder than usual. "You don't deserve to be part of this dinner," she said flatly. No one said a word. My sister looked down at her plate. My uncle awkwardly cleared his throat. I sat there, frozen, my fork trembling in my hand. Then I stood up, quietly placed my napkin on the table, and said, "You're right." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't beg or defend myself. I just turned around and walked out. Behind me, I heard a few whispers and a nervous laugh from my cousin. The sound of my mother's sigh followed me to the door. That night, as I drove home, something shifted in me. For the first time, I realized I wasn't angry at them. I was done with them. If they didn't think I deserved a place at their table, I'd build one of my own. One day, they'd see it. One day, they'd regret every word they said that night. The night after that dinner, I couldn't sleep. My parents' words kept replaying in my head like a broken record. "You don't deserve to be part of this dinner." It wasn't the first time they had said something cruel, but this time, it hit differently. It wasn't disappointment. It was rejection. From the people who were supposed to stand by me, not humiliate me in front of everyone. For a few days, I just went through the motions. Work, home, sleep, repeat. But that sentence kept pushing me. If I didn't deserve a seat at their table, maybe I was sitting at the wrong one all along. I started putting every ounce of frustration into something that mattered. For years, I dreamed of opening a small restaurant, something warm, welcoming, nothing fancy but mine. I'd always pushed it off, thinking I needed their approval or support. Now, I didn't care. I sold what little I had of value, my gaming console, my old guitar, and even my car. I took a night shift at a nearby cafe to save every extra penny. The manager there, an older man named Henry, saw my dedication. One night after closing, he said, "You've got the heart for this business. Don't stop now." That simple encouragement felt more genuine than any praise I'd ever gotten at home. Months passed. My sleep schedule was a mess. My hands always smelled like coffee beans and cleaning fluid, but my savings began to grow. I rented a tiny space downtown, barely enough for a dozen tables, but it was mine. I painted the walls myself, built the menu from scratch, and worked every shift. At first, business was slow. I'd get maybe 5 or 6 customers a day. Some nights, none at all. But every time I thought about giving up, I remembered my mother's voice. "You don't deserve to be part of this dinner." That became my fuel. Then something unexpected happened. A local food blogger visited the cafe after hearing about my cinnamon rolls from a delivery driver. The next week, she posted a glowing review, a cozy hidden gem run by someone who clearly puts his soul into every dish. Overnight, Tiny Cafe turned into the talk of the town. Customers lined up outside in the mornings. People started tagging my cafe on social media. Within a few months, I hired 2 assistants, then 4. I even expanded the menu and added a small reading corner that became a hit with older couples. And then one evening, as I was closing up, I saw a familiar car pull up. My parents. They walked in, looking around awkwardly. My dad was the first to speak. We didn't know this place was yours, he said, his tone softer than I'd ever heard. Mom smiled tightly. It's beautiful. You really did all this? I nodded. Every bit of it. They ordered coffee. The same table that had once felt too small for me now felt too big for them. They tried to make conversation, but the roles had changed. They weren't the judges anymore. I was the one they had to reach. When their food came, Dad said, "We're proud of you." I almost laughed, not out of bitterness, but disbelief. "You didn't think I deserved to eat at your table," I said quietly. "Now you're sitting at mine." They looked away. No shouting, no defense, just silence. The same kind that once hurt me now comforted me. As they left, Mom paused by the door. "You proved us wrong." "No," I said gently. "I proved me right." They smiled faintly and walked out into the night. I watched them go, the sign above my cafe glowing in the window. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel excluded. I had built my own table, and it was full. Weeks passed after that night, and my cafe kept growing. I started seeing regular customers, people who'd come not just for the food, but for the calm, the warmth, the feeling of belonging I'd built into every corner. Sometimes I'd sit by the window after closing, watching families eat together, laugh together, and I'd wonder why mine couldn't have been like that. But then I'd remind myself it didn't matter anymore. I had created something better. One Sunday afternoon, as the sun painted the walls gold, I saw my brother walk in. He looked nervous, holding a small box in his hands. "Mom and Dad's anniversary cake," he said. "They wanted it from your shop." I smiled faintly, surprised they'd chosen mine. He hesitated before sitting down. "They talk about you a lot now," he said. "They tell everyone how proud they are." I didn't know what to say. Pride had been the thing they'd always withheld, the one thing I'd once begged for. But now that I had it, it didn't carry the same weight. My brother looked down. "They regret what they said that night, you know." I nodded. Regret doesn't erase it. But I'm glad they finally see me. He gave a small laugh. "Yeah," I said. "But not because of them, because they forced me to believe I had to." That night, after closing, I placed a single plate on one of the empty tables, just like the one that had been taken from me that night long ago. I sat for a moment, hands folded, and whispered, "I do deserve to be part of this dinner." And this time I wasn't proving it to anyone else. Just to myself. When I turned off the lights, the cafe sign glowed in the dark street, steady and quiet, a reminder that sometimes being pushed out of one table is how you find the courage to build your own. If you've ever been told you're not enough, remember, sometimes rejection is just redirection. Don't chase validation from people who never saw your worth. Build your own table, your own story, your own peace. And when they come back, let your success do the talking.